happens. If you have not followed his Triple H Horse Racing podcast, you're missing out. It's one of the best podcasts in the country.
Good evening and welcome to episode 387 of Picks and Ponies right here on the HHH Racing Podcast. I'm your proud host, Howard Kravitz. Thank you very much for joining us. Happy New Year to everyone. It is 2025. This is our first show in 2025 for Picks and Ponies. We are so happy that you have joined us. Please make sure you hit that subscribe button on the bottom right-hand side of the screen. This is the year of 5K. We want to get to 5,000 subscribers and a lot more, but we need your help. Please hit that subscribe button, hit the notification bell on the top right-hand side of the screen, and smash that like button below the video player. You can listen to us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Anchor. Tip sheet now almost 4 years running. Wow. Did we have a tip sheet last week? Oh, my goodness. Roll in. We were absolutely on fire last week. And if you are a tip sheet subscriber and you've played some of the picks, congratulations, because you had one hell of a Saturday, as did I. Hopefully you are a subscriber. If you're not, it's very inexpensive, very profitable. Look below the video player again by going to patreon.com, and you can go to our great website, which has got a lot of really good information on there. It's not just picks. There's videos, there's pictures, there's power picks, there's just an assortment of stuff. Pete Visco does a great job with that website. Please check it out, hhhracingpodcast.com. And I'd also like to say we're very proud in 2025. We have Adelphi Racing Club. Shout out to Adelphi Racing Club and Matt Kuter out of New York. They are once again sponsors of this podcast. We really do appreciate Matt Kuter and everything that he does for our podcast. We're interested in ownership, especially horses out of New York. Please check out Adelphi Racing Club. A great partnership. It's very affordable. If you want to become an owner, Adelphi Racing Club is the place to go. AdelphiRacing.com, or get in touch with racing manager Matt Kuter. His email you see on the bottom of the screen, matt@adelphiracing.com, one word. All right, let's bring on my wonderful co-host to start 2025 here on Picks and Ponies. First, from the Commonwealth of Massachusetts and the Saratoga Special, Mr. Paul Halloran, and from the East Coast of Maryland, I felt like I've just seen him recently, it is Pete Visco. Guys, how we doing tonight? Paul, congratulations on the Fighting Irish going to the semifinals to face off the Nittany Lions, and the other, of course, semifinal is going to be Charlie Freeman's Ohio State Buckeyes, who frankly have looked like the best team in college football in these first 2 weekends, versus the Texas Longhorns. Guys, I can't wait for the Charlie rant when he's going to complaining that it's basically a home game for Texas. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening. Pete, what time is the next show for us?
I mean, do we have another one after this? I mean, we're working to the bone.
We're working. He's not going to make us do more than 3 a night. He's in a.
No, we would never do that. We're too old.
What endurance we're showing, Pete. Iron Men.
We got to pay the bills, boys. We got to pay the bills. Look, there you go. We are doing doubleheader Thursday nights. I'm going to send out the brand new schedule for 2025 to our huge email list in the next few days. But again, for those of you listening and watching, which has been thousands of people every episode on Picks and Ponies recently, we just cannot thank everyone enough for your tremendous support as it just continues to grow. This podcast does. We are going to be in doubleheaders, guys. The new permanent times, we're back now that the NFL is winding down. We're back to our usual regular scheduled times for Picks and Ponies. Will be Thursday nights, 8 p.m. Eastern, just like tonight. And then right after this show will be our short but very important Great Race Plays shows featuring the Sunday late pick 4 at San Anita, and that will be at 9:30 Eastern. Not tonight as we're filming, because we already did Great Race Plays this evening, but starting next week, that would be January 9th, will be on our new schedule for Picks and Ponies Great Race Plays. And our other shows also will tweet out, Pete, and I'm sure you'll put it on the website as well. But Pacific Horse Players will be 8 p.m. Eastern on Tuesday. Ben and Boozin will be 8 p.m. Eastern. Wednesday, we're just going to dominate the podcast scene during the middle of the week. Plus, Pete, once in a while, of course, Paul knows this too, we will have Horsing Around on Mondays because we have to have some great people, especially ones that I've met recently. Like, for example, who do you like here? Mr. Pete Aiello, track announcer at Gulfstream. I had the pleasure of meeting him. As you guys know, I was there last weekend, had a fantastic time. And by the way, shout out to Gulfstream Park, Dave Joseph, Brian, Nadal, everyone there for taking care of me with my media credential at Gulfstream. But Pete, yeah, very exciting to start 2025. We got a lot planned this year with some upgrades and just just getting bigger and better, my friend.
I mean, that's what we do, right? We just keep going up and up. That's the plan, and hopefully 2025 is no different. And anybody wants to check out, if you didn't see him on X, there's a bunch of photos from Howard's trip to Gulfstream, along with photos from basically every trip that members of the HHH Racing podcast team take. They're on our website, so if anybody wants to check them out, they're on there as well.
Yeah, we had quite the 2024. We didn't have a chance to do a year in review, guys, because I was out of town. Kyle was out of town. I wanted to have most of us on the show if we were going to do a year in review. And it was more of a podcast year in review. But just off the top of my head, guys, I mean, Paul, NHC was just an absolute blast in March. I mean, with Saratoga, we could go on and on, all the great trips and places. I had my first foray into European racing, and Pete, I know you went to Laurel with your family, maybe at least once, if not twice, and it's a lot of fun, guys, to go on these trips, and especially with family members. And I shouldn't even put it in quotes anymore. Paul.
Yes, absolutely. I very much enjoyed Del Mar at the end of the year. That was
of course.
Despite the horrific handicapping I did, I enjoyed the weather. I enjoyed the company. I got a chance to reconnect with, I think you met him, Howard. My friend Sandy gave me my first sports writing job 40 years ago, and got a chance to introduce him to the Dormans. Speaking of not putting quote marks around family, my Kentucky family, and so that was a great way to end it. And Howard, we don't have time for a year in the review. We're doing show upon show upon show.
Nah, not that many. We got New Year's resolution from Marco Liu. I will hit a 5-figure pick 5 this year. I like that.
I like it.
Wow.
I like it. That's a good goal.
I like that, Marco.
I like that goal.
That's a
I like that
goal.
That sounds good to me. Absolutely.
Like
Horsey Davis here.
Let's do it with this sequence right here. Let's start it off. Like, why wait?
Not?
Let's do it right now, Marco.
Nothing better than January racing in Florida. Thanks for all you do for us. Appreciate that, Horsey Dave. Guys, I enjoyed doing that live spot from Gulfstream last Saturday morning. Actually, I had quite a few views. It was from the third floor. It was good to do some live racing or live handicapping, and had the chance to go in the winner's circle. And, I will say, I understand why true hardcore handicappers that live by a racetrack, Paul, go to the races, because I got to say, being in the paddock and seeing these horses up close, if you know what to look for and you know who to talk to, it's definitely an advantage. There's no guarantees, but it's definitely an advantage being up close to the horses than watching on TV. There's no doubt about that. At least, and I see that more and more that I go to more and more tracks and have more access to the paddock.
Oh, I agree. I mean, I spend a lot of time in the paddock, especially in New York, and I could not agree more. I mean, I always use my stock line. I'm no Maggie Wolfendale, but you do hopefully get a little better at it over time.
Yes, no doubt. Well, let's hope that we have some success Saturday, because look, I've said a zillion times, I'll say it again. Sometimes we're right, sometimes we're wrong. It's a tough game. Last Saturday, guys, just happened to be my week. Pete, we talked about the power picks, and you sent that out to our power pick subscribers, I believe that, or we put it on. I think you put it on X. I think
it was on X. Yeah.
Look, I was on the Equine Edge show. Thanks, shout out to those guys, and gave like 2 cold punch exactas that each paid like $80 for 2 or some nonsense. It was just happened to have one of those days. Pat and I split a nice, or not split evenly, but had a nice $3,000 late pick 5, which, by the way, Gulfstream now is no longer 4 out of 5 payouts, which I actually like that personally. That's a whole other discussion. But anyway, let's hope to do the same thing, guys, tonight. So let's just jump in right now. Let me take the banners off the screen. We're going to jump into a late pick 5 at Gulfstream this Saturday, guys, 2 stakes. They end the card. Interesting that the last race is a stake race, which I sort of like, which will make the double quite interesting and entertaining. Let me go ahead and put some in. Oh, before I do that, I forgot to mention this on Great Race Plays, guys, and I meant to do this. There was a horse in race 9 at Gulfstream, at Santa Anita, and I didn't mention it, and I apologize. I wanted to do it during the show. Race 9 at Santa Anita on actually Sunday. There is a horse. It is the 4 horse. The name of the horse, I don't know if you guys saw this, is Novinophobia.
Yep.
Again, Novinophobia. Does anyone know what phobia that is? What are those people afraid of if you have Novinophobia? Pete?
No wine. Lack of
Very
wine.
good. Now,
I looked,
are you like me and had to look that up, or did you actually know that?
No, I looked it
so
up.
did I.
Yeah, I looked it up. And I assume
Fear of
it's
not having enough wine in your glass.
I assume
That's the
it's
new Patrick Kunzel phobia. If he's
it's
listening, he'll understand.
Novinophobia, right? Not no.
Oh, there you go. Novinophobia, as in vino.
I would imagine. Yes, I would imagine.
I knew you got a 34 on that English part of the ACT for a certain reason, Pete.
Only when it comes to booze. That's the only those questions. Which there
You're
weren't
the
enough
wordsmith,
of.
Paul. Have you heard of Novinophobia?
I have not. Well, yes, I have as of 30 seconds
2 days
ago.
Well, there you go. You can now you can use that somewhere in a book or an article, or I don't know. I'm not sure how that would relate to horse racing, and I have another trivia question, guys, coming up for this late pick 5. So let's just jump right in because people cannot wait to hear. Plus, we're going to have a rant of the week, of course, from Paul Halloran as well. The Gulfstream pick 5 on Saturday is a challenging one, ladies and gentlemen, and it starts right here. Well, I thought I had it ready, and I did not. Pete understands the host fail. No one else does. Let's try it again. There we go. Race 7 is the start of late pick 5 Gulfstream, 3:18 Eastern Standard Time. It is a 10 claimer on the Tapeta, going 1 mile and 70. Nice big field of 12. We see morning lines led by the morning line favorites, the number 5, Mobu, California bred, Hernandez and Gonzalez, the EZ boys, at 3-1. Let's see where we are going to start this late pick 5 at Gulfstream on Saturday. I'm going 6-5-9. Paul's going 5-11-3, and Pete's going 5-9-6. Boy, the Paisans again. It's the year of the Paisans. If you guys are wrong, though, you're going to have some dead animals at your front doors, so you better be careful. You guys are going to chalk it out with Mobu. Pete, what do you like about this speedster?
I mean, I like the fact that it's a 9-year-old gelding. We always appreciate the old fellas on this show. So there's nothing wrong with that. I thought this is a pretty interesting race. I mean, you see this horse gets the win last time. Again, you mentioned it was 10 claimers, so we're not exactly talking about the highest price horses here. But again, we always like to say this. I think this is a horse that fits at this level. And you see, he gets the win last time, had come off a little bit of a layoff, runs the first time at this level, runs an okay 5th. I think was a little bit closer to a pretty hot pace, which I don't know if was advantageous. Comes back the next one, same company, same kind of trip, but the pace is a little more reasonable, is able to go by this time. You see on the screen there, 5 out of 9 wins and 6 out of 9 in the top 2 on the synth. So again, you're getting the horse back to what I think he wants to do. And even in his advanced stage, he is having a fantastic he was having a fantastic 8-year-old season, should say now. Hopefully that leads into a fantastic 9-year-old season where he's still winning races and he's able to pass horses, which he's shown he can do. And he does it with an affinity on the synthetic and at the distance, and he has a win over the course. There's just a lot of things I like, and I guess that's why he's the 3-1 favorite.
Paul, I know this horse has changed hands several times, but when they bought this 9-year-old gelding, whoever bought him, at the Keeneland September 2017 sale for $390, I think they figure when he was 9, he would have earned more than the $390. He's nice career, right? $331, but he's a 9-year-old, 34 lifetime starts, isn't quite there yet. But in all seriousness, Paul, people sometimes, the knuckleheads out there say, oh, we shouldn't be racing these horses, at age 9. This horse is still running high mid-70 buyers, loves what to do, is obviously healthy. I mean, let these horses run. This is what they were born to do. And so good on everyone who's had a piece of this horse throughout his career. He's still as honest as he comes, and you've got him on top also.
Yeah, I kind of well, I mean, he does not have a breeding career to look forward to.
He does not.
Hence the G in the top line.
As in, G, where's my? Forget it.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Whoa! Wow. Oh, I think
this is the White Claw talking already. It's
yeah,
a new 2025, boys. Howard will be drinking on the shows more often. I know Pete likes that. Pete will join in.
Yeah, that's just nuts. Anyway.
I love it.
Or isn't? No, I got a chuckle, Howard. I was looking at the purchase price and the career earnings just before you mentioned it, and at 10,000 claimers, it's gonna take a while even to make up that 60,000. I mean, the purse for this race is 25, so we could pick up 15-ish.
Yep.
Yeah, I thought, as Pete touched on, since they moved this horse east and put him back on the synthetic, respectable effort off to lay off, and then a good effort. Sometimes horses, I don't know about you, Pete, but I find at these low claiming levels, when they win and stay at the same level, they tend to win back or be very competitive right back.
Yeah.
I was kind of glad to see 3-1 because handicapping a race like this without the morning line, you might pick a horse and have them show up at 25-1. So,
you don't know what the hell
I'm
was
glad
I
I wasn't totally out to lunch here. I mean, I don't. I certainly don't love them, and I'm not thrilled about having the favorite, but I do like the horse on synthetic, and the fact that those are both 2-turn Gulfstream synthetic routes, and that's right where he stays.
Yep. Marco Lou, by the way, said January also means the NHC is just around the corner. Very exciting. A little over 2 months to the NHC. Yours truly does have 2 qualified entries, so I'm very excited about Vegas in March. Guys, I don't usually chalk out in general, but I especially don't chalk out usually in Tapeta races. I'm doing that here a little bit. I do like the 6, though. Ernesto, and we got to talk about something, guys, and I'm going to put us on full screen. Ernesto is 9-2 morning line. The Irid Ortiz money right now out of Gulfstream is completely insane in the membrane. It is completely nuts. And guys, I played Gulfstream today because that's what I do when I'm not in school. And there was a particular horse, I can't remember the name, that honestly, guys, if you look at the PPs compared to the rest of the field, it was 1 mile and 3/8. It was actually 1 mile and 3/16 Tapeta main race. They were decent horses, but it was a maiden special weight. Anyway, I rode the 2 horse that, guys, should have been honestly 10-1. And I told Pat Kunzel, who we played the sequence, so he knows this. I said the money, and the horse went off like 2-1, guys. And it finished a predictable, like, closing, non-threatening third. This guy continually gives unbelievable rides, guys. But look, what is he, 30%? I mean, that's winning 3 out of every 10 times, right, Paul? We talk about this in baseball. This is a game as a jockey. If you're really successful, you're only going to win 3 out of 10 times. Just like in baseball, if you're hitting 300, right, Pete and Paul, you're having a great career. The guy doesn't always win. He does always give great rides, but he doesn't always win. And I implore everyone out there, if you can find an Irad Ortiz horse that just looks meh, do not use him or her, meaning the horse, in that sequence, because you're going to get value so many other ways, Paul.
I agree with you, and 30% is an anomaly, Howard. If you're a jockey at 20%, you're doing very well. 30% is out of this world, and that's one of the reasons why he's winning at 30 down there, and that's one of the reasons. But I mean, I think one of the reasons that happens, Howard, frankly, I think, is in races like this that they're hard races, they're on synthetic. And I think if people don't have a strong opinion, they tend to default to them. And where it really becomes a problem, where it really could tax you both literally and figuratively, is in the multi-race sequences. Because you end up saying, oh, I don't want to get beat by him. In the meantime, you're getting beat by someone else that you should have played because
Yeah,
you
I
didn't
mean,
want to get beat by him.
I'll tell you one angle that has worked well for me, guys, and we'll move on. And this is going to sound very contradictory because I have IRAD in this race, but overall, in general, guys, I prefer IRAD in higher class races. Now, before I get any hate, comments in the chat like, "Oh, Howard, you're saying he doesn't try in lower class races." No, he tries as hard in those races as any races, at least in my opinion. However, the lower class races, guys, these horses are not as talented and they're less predictable. And so you could have Jesus on a horse or Moses or pick your historical figure, whatever. Uh, they can't carry these horses across the finish line. They have to have some talent and some ability and compared to the field. Now, the reason why I like Ernesto, the number 6 here, is because this is a switch to IRAD. If IRAD had been riding this horse all the time and the horse was what he is on paper, 4 for 42 with 19 seconds and thirds, I'd be completely against this horse. But I do think IRAD, with all due respect, guys, is better than Vasquez, Morelos, and Jaramillo. So I think it does matter in races that are where you have the talent is relatively level across the board, and this is a new IRAD pickup. To me, that matters. Do you think that's valid, Pete?
Yeah, it's funny you said that. I was literally going to say the same exact thing of I like it when it's a switch because if you have a horse that you're like, man, I think this horse has some talent, just not sure it's been getting the trips or the rides that
Exactly.
maybe it should get to win.
Yeah.
And then you put IRAD on, which I think is the case in this horse. Like I think this horse has shown some decent ability. Obviously hits the board a ton, just can't get over the hump, and a jockey upgrade to a jockey like IRAD can maybe do that for you. So I honestly was thinking that exact same phrase as you were saying it. So I agree with that. Again, it's like anything where if you trainer stats are funny in the same way where you're like, what good is a trainer stat if I'm looking at a horse that's done everything exactly the same the last 6 races? The trainer stat doesn't matter. The horse is what it is. But when you're switching to IRAD, you're hoping that's going to move the horse forward.
Yeah, and the 5 and the 6, who everyone here on the screen likes for the most part. Actually, Paul doesn't have the 6 anywhere, but the 11 who Paul has, we don't see a big close in this race. We all have horses that are going to be up closer to the pace. I think that's the way that we see this. I'm just chalking out a little bit. I just want to mention 2 quick horses, guys, and then we're going to move on. There's a bunch of interest in the chat on the number 4, Unraptured. Ramsey Nolan, who's having a fantastic, or Nolan Ramsey, wow. Nolan Ramsey, who I think is the grandson, I believe, of Ken Ramsey, if I recall, is very good on Tapeta. Someone mentioned where Horsey Dave, 47% in claiming races at GP over the last year. Wow. So stretches this horse out. I am going to be using, based on that stat, Horsey Dave, I'm going to throw that 4 a little bit in the mix. I didn't have the 4 anywhere. I'm not sure if the stretch out is going to work, but we'll see. Interesting. The other horse I just want to mention as a bit of a bomb, Charlie Freeman. If you're going to watch this, you might want to pay attention. I have the number 8, Chico Charlie, as a B as in Charlie, as a B as in boy. I'm always made fun of by Paul when I say that. If you toss out the dirt races, guys, for Chico Charlie, let me show this 8 real quick. If you toss out the races that were on dirt for Chico Charlie, if you look just at his turf races as in synthetic race, I don't think he's completely out of it, guys. So if you look carefully, I think his form has been completely dirtied up, guys, by those dirt races. I just want to mention that because Chico Charlie might be an underneath play for me in a reverse tri-key, and I think I could get paid. Rob mentioned he's only one synthetic race, but again, that synthetic race was fine, guys. It's a 94 time form. I mean, it's a little bit slow. I'm not saying he's going to win, guys, but again, dirty up form matters. You got to take a look at it. Did you guys look at the 8 at all, or is it one of those crazy wacko Howard horses that he's losing his marbles once again?
I didn't like the 8, but I get your point. But I mean, I think you could. This is a race where they're even enough where I think you could reach for cases on a lot of horses here. I don't think anybody's a standout. I had a similar idea on the 10 Malek, I think it was pronounced. I can't remember. where I liked sort of some of the synthetic races. And
Melick, I think it's Melick. Yeah.
Melick, I think, yeah.
Yep.
But that's a horse who just doesn't break well. But I like the sort of
Mm-hmm.
an underneath. But you're not getting as if it was a double-digit horse, I would like even more.
And Paul, you're fooling around, Paul, the gentleman, Jerry. Sorry, that Pete. The 11.
No, you're good.
Yeah, but to that line of thinking, the 3 Valentine Bug is. I'm thinking the same thing as you were thinking. I think that's going to be my board horse series. 8-1 morning line, which is not a terrible number to try to get underneath.
Is Colin the what's the relationship between Colin and Rajiv? Do you know?
Oh boy,
I think Colin
nephew maybe.
Uncle nephew kind of thing.
I think so.
We know that relationship pretty well.
There's a lot.
You know, it's funny.
There's a lot of mirage now that Rajiv is back.
I looked it up, and so it's funny because first after the claim, Colin 0 for 14, and with Jockey changes to Rajiv 1 for 15. Because I was looking it up just because of the relationship, and I didn't know. I completely forgot what the relationship is. But
all right, Paul. Before I show the next race, you gave me 8-4-11. There is no 11 in the race. I'm sure it was a typo by you. So
the next race?
Yes. Who do you have in the next race? You sent me the email said 8-4-11. I double checked.
Oh, it should be 8-4-1. I'm sorry.
No problem. That's what I figured. You just doubled up. All right.
Yeah.
Yep. Let's go to race 8 right now as we speak. The second leg of the late pick 5 Gulfstream Saturday. There's our picks on the bottom of the screen. It's a main special weight for the Florida breds, I believe. Yes, Florida breds, main special weight on the dirt. 3-year-olds restricted. 6.5 furlongs. Field of 9. Pretty wide open board. Moreline favorite is the number 8. Apparently a big fan of Aaron Rodgers. Just relax. D'Angelo and a guy named Irad. I'm going 9-7-8. Paul's going 8-4-1, and guess who Pete has on top? I mean, what a freaking surprise!
8-4-1, baby.
8-4. What in the world? I think we only need one of you guys on the show the rest of the year. I don't know.
Yeah,
I think we need to alternate or something. This is getting completely ridiculous. Just relax. Just relax, Pete. Dropping down in class from stake races, as is the number 7 Oleg. So this is an interesting race, Pete. It's horses that have been facing a complete monster, like rated by merit, versus sort of up and comers who don't have that kind of experience. The question is, are the 7 and 8 just more talented because they face tougher, or are they overrated because they face tougher? You think Just Relax is in a good spot here?
Yeah, but I agree with exactly what you said. I actually had like 5 horses as A's when I took my first pass through. Wow. So I don't think it was a huge. I think that is something that happens sometimes, that you see a horse that they put in a stakes race and all of a sudden you think, oh, it must just be better. Maybe it was just a bad call to put them in a stake. I'm not saying it was here, just saying in general. Maybe they shouldn't have been in the stakes race and they're not that much better than the field that they're going against, but the odds don't always reflect that. But I thought this one, I like the debut. The debut, I was in the slop. You didn't get the biggest of figures. But again, I thought it was a promising enough debut where then, which I assume they thought, hey, let's move this horse into a stake race. Let's keep him in another stake race. And again, didn't embarrass himself in either one, lost by a good amount, but the winner won by a lot as well. Now you're picking up Irad again, and we're saying we're getting a big jockey upgrade. You're dropping Dak down. From a figure standpoint, buyer and time form, they increased each race. So there is some improvement here. Now you're getting second off, a few month layoff as well. So it should be a little bit sharper. Yep.
He's the 3, and Oleg, who's the 7 in the race on Saturday, is the 9. Rated by merit, who's the 1 here. He's just a complete monster. Some people think a Derby prospect. I personally don't, but some people do. He's running really fast figs. There's really not too much to watch. You don't need to watch the winner. What you might want to watch is the 3 and the 9, because they are facing each other. As you see, they're fading back here. The 3 and the 9 are going to face each other on Saturday. I mean, is there anything to glean at all from this race, Pete, in your opinion?
I don't know if it's tough too, just because the winner got away. But I like that the 3 sort of, and you'll see as we watch there. I like that the 3 just sort of held on together. Yeah, didn't sort of give it up once the other horses got away. Sort of hung in there a bit. And again, now I think you're getting this horse against maybe a little bit more of horses at his level,
Yeah.
or maybe even a little bit below. So I just think, and he's also been sitting off slow paces. Now, again, that was a weird one because the leader was a 1-5 shot, who's actually pretty good, and this horse needs to stay away from now on because he keeps demolishing him in the last two. But yeah, I didn't see the odds until literally now when you're putting them up on the screen. And I guess it makes sense. You're getting the IRAD tax here, you're getting a drop down, but it doesn't look like a 2-to-1 type advantage to me in this race by any stretch.
Not to me, not to me. And now that we have a lot of people watching, I'm going to go full stream just myself, guys, for a second. We need your help. We have a goal this year on the podcast to get at least 5,000 subscribers on our YouTube channel. That should not be a problem, but we need your help. So please make sure you hit that subscribe button on the bottom right-hand side of the screen on YouTube. While you're doing that, just smash the like button, hit the notification bell at the top right-hand corner, because we really need your help in reaching our goals. Not only 5,000, we really guys would love to have 6,000 subscribers and more, but we need your help on YouTube. It costs you absolutely nothing, and we do, Pete, have a lot of people that watch the show that are not subscribers for whatever reason. So please make sure you go ahead and do that. Paul, you're also gonna go with the 8. Why don't you tell out the 4, Paul, that you have second? Flood Zone. This is Barboza and Raylu Gutierrez, who's a little cold right now at Gulfstream. He's 4 for 59. He's way too good a jockey not to heat up a little bit, but you can only run the horses that he's getting. And frankly, and I followed Gulfstream carefully, he's just not really getting the stock right now for whatever reason, Paul, which surprised me a little bit. Flood Zone finished a good second at 12-1, and you like him a little bit in this spot, getting his second start, and also getting Lasix, which you might want to talk about, Paul, because many horses in the last 2 days are now receiving Lasix, if you know what I mean.
Yes, that for that January 1st birthday, they give you cakes, birthday cake and Lasix
Yes.
when you turn 3.
Is the Lasix in the cake, or is that a separate medication thing?
No, it's in the frosting, actually.
Oh, nice.
And speaking of frosting, this horse is bifrosted. Yeah, I just think horses tend to move forward second start anyway, and with Barboza, they really do. He's obviously one of the top outfits down there. This horse is going to have to jump up from that 48 when you look at the 8 ran a 68 buyer, the 7 is run 68. But, thinking that this horse could advance, should get a decent trip from the middle. And, I know you picked one, Howard, and you can talk about him, unless the firsters are monsters here. I think I am leaning toward the horses who have run.
I totally get it. And I set myself up, Pete, when I brought up the whole relationship between horse that have run in stakes and fresh faces. Of course, I set it up because you guys didn't know my top pick, which I get to do as the host. I got to tell you, Pete and Paul, I don't know about the 7 and 8. I mean, I know they faced a complete monster, but, the 8, who obviously can win this damn thing, Just Relax, and he's 26-1 and 24-1. Now, in those 2 races. Now, those odds are inflated, obviously, Pete, because rated by merits, 1-5. So I understand that. But even in his debut, he was 5-1 and, and ran didn't do much. So I don't know about Just Relax. I actually, compared to the 2, I've got Just Relax in third. I actually prefer Oleg. I just like the works better on Oleg, and you're going to get a better price. And I'm not sure how much worse Oleg is really than Just Relax. But here's my thought, guys. There's some firsters I looked at really carefully. And number 9, he's a beast for David Fox and Bravo, who doesn't ride a lot. So when he jumps on a first-time starter, guys, I pay attention. This horse is working absolutely lights out. Now, I don't have the workout report as of this show Thursday night, but he's by the big beast out of a Burning Roma mare, Queen Drama. And Queen Drama, who really didn't do that much, although she was staked as a Florida bred, has dropped some very nice horses. Noble Drama won 876,000. Riveting Spirit 238,000. Epic Drama 222,000. Guys, this dam has dropped some very nice horses. Many of them were trained, by the way, by David Fox, so he knows this breeding and these bloodlines. I want to look at the workout report. I don't love the outside post, believe it or not, but as you guys know, sometimes they break to the outside instead of breaking straight when they're first-time starters. But I'm just not a big fan of these horses that have run. And if number 9, He's a Beast, is taking money, I think he's very dangerous in this spot. So I'm going 9, 7, 8. You guys clearly don't either like this horse or just like the firsters in general, because you don't have this horse anywhere. And you guys could absolutely be right. We'll see.
I mean, I had the 9 as one of the other A's. I just didn't.
Okay.
There was some there were some good stats, Fox. 21% win, 67% in the money, first time starters on dirt at Gulfstream in the past couple of years. The damn side you talked about, Queen Drama. 0 for 6 in the top 2 with first time starters. That was enough to, again,
Fair.
you're nitpicking between horses for me that were all
No,
pretty
that's a good
even.
stat.
So I was
That's a fair
nitpicking
stat.
again, though. Yeah.
No, that's a good stat.
Actually, Paul, you should talk real quick. I don't know if you were gonna about the 1. I thought the 1 was pretty interesting. I'm curious to see, Paul, what you liked about that one.
Real quick, Paul, before you do that, Paul, it's fair to mention Jose Ortiz is riding Saturday at Gulfstream. I think he's riding for a particular horse. I don't have intel on that. My guess is he's not here to ride the number 6 Caracas, who, by the way, is from Florida, not Caracas, Venezuela. But Jose Ortiz, that's not a typo. He is riding at Gulfstream on Saturday. I think he's there, guys, for a horse in the last race, but we'll talk about that. Paul, why don't you tell on the number 1, Mahovlich, very quickly, who is working lights out, but was working lights out before his debut also, and didn't show much, although he showed early speed. I'm assuming they're just going to gun from the inside here and take the chances.
Yeah, you would think, and Jenna is one of those trainers, and she's off to a slow start down there, but she is one of those trainers that doesn't typically have them cranked 100% first out. So that was part of my thinking that her horses would advance. And yes, I thought the horse was going to be forward anyway, Howard. And as you just mentioned, I think the post position dictates that Ruiz is just going to see how far he can take them, and it'll be like a BC type horse in the horizontal play for me.
Yeah, look, I mean, the horse is working great. I just didn't like the fact that the horse is working great before. So, but 59 breezing, I mean, that is for a Florida bred. Ooh, that is quick. So maybe this one has a lot more talent than he showed in his first start. He's gonna have to, because it's a much tougher field. Let's go.
Paul
Pete,
was right,
go ahead.
by the way. Sorry, he was right. And Jenna, 21% second-time starters in maiden special weight dirt sprint, so a huge jump from her sort of normal average there.
Paul, the big win that she had at Saratoga this summer with a 2-year-old, was that a maiden second-time starter? You know the race I'm talking about?
Oh yeah, I certainly do. It was
a bomb. Why do I have a feeling that was a maiden who, or maybe that horse broke her maiden at Churchill like in the summer, but won for like 22-1, right?
Yeah, I think it was. I want to say it was a listed stakes race, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I remember.
Because I think I covered. I think I was down there covering it, and we cover all stakes races. So, yeah, I would say it was a stakes race.
I think it was a filly. I don't have to go back and look. Anyway, all right. I shouldn't talk about things that I do not know for sure. Let's go to race 9, guys. Race 9, optional allowance claiming 25,000. This is at 4:21 Eastern. By the way, the sequence starts. I don't have.
There was a horse, Howard. It was 13-1. What in the literal? That one, the Astoria?
Yes.
Is that the one you're thinking of?
That's the one.
Yeah.
What
had that horse won before?
No, it was 0 for 2.
There you go.
Maiden specials, and then put in the Astoria.
Yeah.
And won, and then was then actually lost the rider next time, then lost by 30, and
right.
I know the one at 13. Yeah, wire to wire job at 13.
Yeah. I remember what the literal, because she knocked me out of the freaking pick 5 that day. Anyway, the pick 5 at Gulfstream on Saturday starts at 3:18 Eastern Standard Time, FYI. Race 9 starts at 4:21 Eastern Standard Time. I already gave the conditions. The rails are out 24 feet. This is a big field and an interesting field. It's a field of 12 with 3 also eligibles, including one of Charlie Freeman's from Bet and Booze, and one of his used to be favorite horses, Fredo, who's not anymore, because frankly, Fredo is no good anymore, but he used to cause some damage, so to speak, on the racetrack. Let's see. The money line favorite here is the number 3. Yeah. Lane. Lane.
Wow.
Crichton and Saez. Let's see where we are going here. Let's see. I am going 263. Paul's going 3-2-10. What in the world is going on?
Yeah.
And Pete is going
We're chalking it up, though,
3-4-10.
Paul.
I
Guys,
know.
I have a new stat, man. If these horses don't win, if they win, I'm going to tip my cap and say these guys are amazing. If they don't, oh boy, we'll see. It's crazy because on our great race plays, they had what 3 of the 4 races.
Three
you
of
guys
the 4, I
same?
think. Yeah.
So far, it's what 2 for 2, I believe. Is that right or no? Did you guys have the same?
2 for 3 at least.
2 for 3.
Yeah,
All right. This makes my job easy, you guys. I'm going to choose either one of you. Pete, talk about Echo, lane.
Well, there's a few things to like here. You see we'll start with the basic stuff at Gulfstream. The horse has 2 out of 3 wins and a third, so likes the track for sure. And then this is one where you look on the turf again. You see the form gets muddied up a bit when there was some synth, which were okay, and there's some dirt in the past. But I think just likes the turf. Gets a finally at 4 years old now, but ended the season with a lifetime buyer top, a lifetime time form top. Also better on Lasix, which again, you see some of these horses that they go in and out of stakes races. And some of them, it's like, well, maybe was it the stakes company that they didn't like, or was it the Lasix that threw them off a bit? It's hard to know, but this horse is definitely better on Lasix. Gets Lasix back here again. Has Saez up again, and Saez won once, got a third before, so maybe knows the horse a bit. And I just thought should be able to work out a pretty decent trip, similar to those last 3. Has shown the ability to pass horses, not from far back, but if can be up close, I think could just work out a trip. My only question with this horse was, is this a little sharp? Does he like it a little bit longer than this? And that was my biggest question. But he's had some good races going this distance or going a little bit shorter. He's won a mile 70. So maybe that's not an issue, but that was probably my biggest concern.
Paul, any concerns with the fact that he does his best racing up close and it appears it's going to be a fast pace with potentially 2 or 3 runners in front of him? Does that concern you at all, Paul?
Not going a mile, Howard, to be honest with you, even though he has not won it a mile, I think he certainly can. I think he does not have to be right on top of it at going a mile. And, I looked at this horse has won 4 out of his last 7. The 3 losses have all been stakes. $100,000 stakes on the Pimlico undercard, a $75,000 on Tapeta, so we can check the Tapeta race. And then the Virginia Derby, losing by 3 to deterministic. So I just think this horse has kind of a sneaky class edge. Maybe not that sneaky because he's the morning line favorite. So, but yeah. I think this horse fits pretty good. Although your horse interests me, I have some good notes on your horse, but I'll let you talk about your horse.
Oh, well, why don't you? I do not know where Mount Horeb is. I don't even know if I'm pronouncing that correctly. But Paul, why don't you talk about a Mount Horeb or Mount Horeb?
Well,
this is IRAD again. I realize. Look, I'm not saying I don't bet IRAD. I'm saying it's very situational.
Yeah, you're going to pay the tax, though. You're going to pay the tax here, Howard.
As you know, I'm a horizontal player, so I'm not, concerned about that necessarily. I wouldn't bet him to win at 2-1, but I don't think he's going to be 2-1. Only 5 lifetime starts, Paul and Pete. Big upside here, and I think he's really going to trip out in this situation. At least I hope so.
Yeah, I think what I meant about paying the taxes, if I'm sure you watched the replay as I did, and it was kind of an interesting trip.
Yes.
Concepcion ended up going very wide. Looked like if he was a little more patient, he would not have had to go wide on the stretch turn. He did go wide, and then the hole that he would have gotten anyway if he waited on the rail, he dove back. He kind of dove back into the rail and was running late, only missed by 3/4, but. And I think Axel's a fine jockey, but I think people are going to watch that. And to my credit, Howard, I had the fortitude to find the Churchill replay to watch. So I think I should deserve some extra credit.
Very good. Well, Paul, also 3 next out winners coming out of that race. And Pete, I know there's some you pay attention to. If you look at where these horses were at the half-mile mark, I didn't mean to highlight all of them, but let me go full screen for our people watching and replays. Look at the half-mile mark. The winner was in first. The second place finisher was in third. The third place winner was in fourth. And look where Mount Horeb was in eighth. He's the only one, along with Burden Tune, who was 81-1, that really did any closing at all. So it favored horses that are up front, and Mount Horeb, with the in-string trip, was able to finish very, very well. And again, 3 next out winners. This horse coming out of a very live race, Paul, and I think is well intended for Roger Atfield here.
Yes, I think there's a lot of things to like. I just looked up. It is the name of a village in Kyle Roscoe's home state of Wisconsin. Oh, that'll
very
aggravate him
nice.
when I
Wow,
say that.
Wisconsin.
And it was where Moses gave.
Yes,
Moses received the 10 Commandments.
correct. I was going to get to that. That was
Yes.
Wait, it's
Sorry,
also
Paul.
in Wisconsin, though? There's 2 different places.
There's 2
Yeah,
different.
Yeah, Moses definitely did not get the 10
I
Commandments in
don't think
Wisconsin.
that happened there. I don't remember my Bible that well.
I'm not exactly a biblical scholar, but I do not think
Yeah.
Moses has ever stepped foot in what now is Wisconsin. But I could be wrong.
No,
could be
no.
wrong.
He actually, Pete, he
Right.
actually got them at Lambeau Field and carried
Yeah,
them.
he's a
on.
cheesehead
Really?
now.
Did he
but
score a
yeah,
touchdown? Well, he did score a touchdown in Indiana.
Correct.
Touchdown.
But no, I
right,
think
anyway.
that horse is an A for me. How I do think there's a chance he really gets a good trip, but as I say, you're probably not going to want to play him in the race.
There we go. Chris Cole said Moses was in Milwaukee, though. Moses Malone, perhaps back in the day, but when they played at the Milwaukee. Oh boy, I gotta stop drinking during shows, guys. This is getting off the rails. Can I talk about the 6? I'm going to anyway. Rambling Wreck, not from Georgia Tech, from New York. If the pace falls apart, this horse is just in really fine form, guys. Gets Tyler G. I don't like horses that have to go around 7, 8, 9. However, that being said, this is a really good closer, guys, in good form. Just lost to Unit Economics, who should have won a race that I was there last weekend, and I lost by literally an inch out of a pick 6. But that's a whole other story. But Unit Economics just ran at Gulfstream last weekend, ran well. Rambling Wreck, I think there's enough pace to set it up for this horse and gets Tyler G. You guys don't have anywhere. I understand he's going to have to come from the clouds, but I see no reason why these Reeves Thoroughbred Racing owned horse can't make a difference. And I've got your 3 in the
That
mix.
was my 4th A, actually. The 6. I had 4 A's in this race, and the 6. It was Roar. I wasn't sure about getting the win just from his style.
We're getting some hate, guys.
Hate,
we went religious, and we're getting some hate now.
Catholic school grade 1 through 16. Okay, I'm well aware of where.
Yeah, I
Moses
went
got
Catholic
the 10
school,
Commandments.
K through 12. So
okay, Hebrew school, ages, I don't know, grades maybe.
Well, you should know about the commandments.
Well,
anyway,
I listen. I know a few things about a few things, guys, but
it makes you an expert on one of the testaments, the old one. Oh,
there you go. That's right. Any other quick thoughts here before we move on, guys?
I thought the 10, Howard, although race flow wise and post position wise might not work, but I just thought the 10 could have a shot from out there. Could Johnny V finds a way to get good trips when he's not posted well?
By the way, Navy SEAL in one of the strangest races or spots I've ever seen at Canterbury when they decided to run him in the mud instead of scratch him coming from Europe. That was I remember that we covered that sequence that we didn't, but Ben and Boozin guys did. I think I have no idea why they ran him that race. He was awful. And then actually I was there at Saratoga. We were there, Paul, that weekend on July 27th, and he just missed against a nice horse named West Hollywood. But I think Wesley Ward would admit that the number 10 Navy SEAL has been a bit disappointing in general coming over from Europe. Pete, looked like you wanted to say something.
I was just saying, I thought the cutback, my note was that the cutback and a little bit facing a little bit lesser company here might help Navy SEAL. I don't mind at that price, because it looked like maybe he's right there late in each of his last 3 races, but sort of fades late. So maybe the cutback here is what he's actually looking for, because when he was going a mile and a 16th, he only lost by 3/4. He ran a little bit better. So I think maybe the mile will suit him better. And 6-1, I think that's a pretty good price for a horse that I think we thought was going to be something when he came over, like you said.
Yeah, I got him as a B. He's capable with the right situation. He's capable. No doubt about it.
The cutback theory, I agree with Pete. I just wish it weren't combined with the 10 post. Agree. You are really up against it.
Yeah.
All right, guys, let's get into the stakes portion of this pick 5. Very interesting. 2 really good stakes. This first one is for the boys. Does anyone know the last year's winner of the Mucho Macho Man?
I don't.
is a horse that I currently have a small ownership piece of.
Otello,
exactly. Won the Mucho Macho Man last year. Came back with a decent fourth, by the way, in New York over the slop that he did not want, but he came out of it just fine. So we're hoping for big things from Otello. The Mucho Macho Man is 1 mile, $165,000. It is not graded. It is a listed stake. It is the first stake race at Gulfstream on the dirt for the 3-year-old boys. And this is a nice field. It's a field of 9. There's no killers in here, but there are some nice horses. Leading off with the number 1, the Moorline favorite, Guns Loaded for D'Angelo and Luis Saez at 5-2. Let's see where we go here, because I think this is a very interesting race, guys. And here it comes. Pete and Paul are not. Wow, they're not going with the same horse.
We got the same exacta at least.
Yep, we are going with 3 different horses. I'm going 6-3-1. Paul's going 5-1-6. And Pete's going 1-5-3. Paul, let's start with you. Cool Intentions. This is a horse that I saw run last time. Ran nicely. I will question the field a bit, which is why I don't have him in the top 3, but I will be using him underneath. And if David Egan can work out a trip, which looks into a very fast pace, which I'm sure Paul has as one of his reasons why he likes this horse. Cool Intentions is interesting for Delgado and David Egan, who, by the way, is one of the taller jockeys on the circuit, which I did not know until I was there. He's probably about 5'7", I would say, guys. He's pretty good height for a jockey. And Paul's hoping that David Egan takes his horse to new heights. How about that?
I thought
Cool Intentions.
Good one.
I thought, I don't know about you guys, I thought this race was very difficult.
I agree.
I agree.
I had probably 4, if not 5 of the 9 that I thought I could make a good case for.
I have 4 A's, Paul. I had 4 A's.
All right, so you felt the same.
Yeah.
You felt the same thing. I just thought, I thought, Rolando is in this race. He is split with Rolando, but I just thought the last time, even though it was
here it is
at 7, I think Rolando had everything his own way in this race.
Why don't you talk it through, Paul, including the numbers?
Yeah, well, Rolando's on the 2, and they're going 47-1, which for 7 furlongs is reasonable, but not killing it. But you could look at the jockey of Rolando here, not asking at all. And my guy here is coming from the back. The jock started asking him well before the quarter pole. And
yeah.
I just think he went by him pretty easily. And
he did.
I just think this is tough to turn the table. So that covers Rolando. So that was one of the horses I thought had. And as you pointed out, Howard, I that gives me confidence. I don't necessarily love closers stretching out, but I think the way that he ran that race, he's by authentic out of a street cry mare.
Mm-hmm.
I just think that this horse will get better as they go longer. And that was a pretty good kick at 7. And remember, at Gulfstream, the mile is still only 1 turn. So they're out of the chute. You could get a similar closing kick. So he was a tepid choice in a race where I liked, as I said, about 4 of them.
I've got him as a B, Paul. I'm concerned he's going to be too far back and might just not class up. I know that looks good on paper and the visual. That was a pretty weak field, and I just don't know that he's going to class up. However, the breeding definitely says he wants to, go longer, and a mile might hit him right between the eyes. I just feel like he's going to be run off his feet early, Paul. That's my concern, but I could be very wrong. This is an interesting horse for ammo racing. Now, Pete, you're going with another really interesting horse. The number 1, Guns Loaded, who, wow, did he run a race at Churchill? Started his career off against Dapper Moon, who's a nice horse at Saratoga and a pretty good main race, finishing 2nd, and then ran an absolute hole in the wind at Churchill, breaking from the 10 hole, got to the early lead, went 21-2 and 44 and change to do it, finished in 109-4. He was a little bit slow late, which concerns me a bit, but he's been working, including, how about the 6 furlong work at Palmettos in 111-4 and 4 breezing. Again, I'm going to have to see the workout report, but all systems go for this gun runner Colt, but he is going to take pressure from the inside. That's my only concern.
Yeah, and he's 5-2, which again I seem to be chalking it up. But again, I did not seeing the odds until we put them up on the screen here. But my concern was I wasn't sure what the trip's going to be. If this horse is going to just sort of gun it, no pun intended, from the rail here.
Well,
I
he's
think
got to, right, Pete? I mean, he's got to.
I think you have to, right? But I think there is enough speed to the outside, especially right directly, as you see there.
And the 3 and the 4. That's a, yeah.
Yeah, there's some speed in here. No, you're good. There's some, yeah, there you go. Look at the time form there. The 1, the 2, the 7. So there's enough speed that's going to come over. And I don't think Rolando has another way to win the race. I don't think Macho Music has another way to go. They're both sort of pure speed.
Blinkers off Macho Music. They might try to sit back a little bit.
I thought that, but I think if you look at his actual races, they're just
I don't think McCullen's going to be far off either for IRAD. I mean,
that
this could get really, this could get hot early.
Yeah, and that's why I thought the 3 was actually. I almost moved the 3 up because of that, because I thought IRAD could get a really nice trip, and I said you have that one in second, and I think that could be the trip. My wonder was with the 1, does Saez, who's generally pretty aggressive, say, let me let these 2 go? I think I can run them down. I don't know, because if he gets hooked up into something, I think that might be detrimental. But that last race was really good. He's an $800,000 horse, so obviously was meant pretty well. I thought the distance, you look at a gun runner out of a Bernardini mare, you figure the more distance, the better. So I don't know. The trip is what's going to be interesting to me here.
Yeah, this is, if this horse was on the outside, Pete, I'd love him.
Yeah.
The fact that he's got the rail and he's going to have to go a mile and the most he's gone is 7. And I just have a feeling he's going to have the lead and a very hot pace. And then once the mid stretch, you're going to see him backing up and finish like a 4th or something, even though he might take a lot of money. And I could be wrong. We got to see how the track plays. And
I mean, he's not
every time you think there's a lot of speed, someone can get loose, right? But he's got to stretch out too. It's just, it feels like there's things that are going against him, even though he might be the most talented horse in the race, which is weird to say, right?
Yeah, but pace makes it sometimes. So you have to see. But I do think if you're trying to beat a favorite, which you might be trying to do here, that's a good reason to think a favorite can go down. Oh, you're on mute, Howard.
Let's talk about my top choice, guys.
There you go.
Thank you, Pete. Without looking it up, and people in the chat, if you know, don't look it up, don't cheat at home. What is septarian? Or something that might be a septarian?
I have no idea.
Isn't it someone who's in their 60s?
I thought that's what it was, but it is not.
Oh, well, that's because I'm in my 60s. I don't know what I'm talking about.
It could be a dual meaning, but not. I'll tell you what it is, guys. It is, hold on a second. I'm putting up, there it is. That is septarian. It is a tricolor stone.
Ooh, very nice.
Isn't that cool?
Wow, I like that.
Isn't that cool? Nice. Yeah, it's like tiger.
I think of a lot of people I'd like to throw that at.
Well,
hey, wait,
is septarian.
This doesn't
guys.
work for Paul. Septarian is a joyful, emotionally nourishing, and calming stone. So I think you are the exact opposite of.
Maybe we should give it to him, Pete, before his rant of the week, so he's not so
his
crazy.
Rant. You can rub it. You can do positive rants.
Guys, here's my thoughts with septarian. First of all, a few things. This is a wide open race. We talk about trainer and jockey switches earlier today. How about this, guys? Now, I'm sure Javier Contreras, who's 15%, who I'm not familiar with, is a very nice trainer and does a wonderful job. And Mr. Nunez, the jockey, is, I'm sure, very capable. How about the switch to Chad and Tyler G? You think that's a little bit of a switch? And Resolute Racing. So obviously, John Stewart has privately purchased this horse. The breeding is weird. It's very turfy kind of breeding, but this horse has run great on dirt, and they keep him on dirt. And I don't think Chad is going to take over a horse from John Stewart and Resolute Racing who can't run. Not only that, guys, I really liked his last. This is a pretty darn good horse who has run buyers that fit. And the last race, which I'm not going to show, we've had issues, by the way, with replays with DRF. It's not us, it's DRF. I'm not sure what's going on. But He broke a little slow from the rail, guys. This is going 6. You see him right there, broke a little slow. Once he gathered, he angles out. Again, he's on the inside here in the blue. He's getting a good trip. But I like this move here, guys. He sort of splits horses. He's got a ton of run, obviously, and these are decent horses. I mean, he's about to go by an even money shot. He splits and he goes by pretty darn easily. And what I really like here is how he finishes. Once he straightens out, I just have a feeling he wants more ground. He's really accelerating past these horses. He's doing it well. And you know what's coming up, guys? Be right, Pete and Paul. What's going to come
The
up?
gallop out. Oh,
The old Howard Kravitz gallop out.
This
Galloping
is one
out
of the
very
better gallop
well.
outs. Oh,
beautiful
unbelievable.
gallop out. What a lovely
Wasn't that
gallop
wonderful?
out.
I know it was very brief,
Nice.
but guys, I just think this is going to be a hot pace. I think I might actually get an okay price. I do not trust guns loaded. And I think the 6 is just going to sit a great spot here. So I'm going to take a chance with Septarian. I mean, it's nothing crazy. He's 3-1. There's a bunch of horses I don't like, and I'm very interested to see what he does. I'm a little more curious to see what he does rather than like I love him. I just think this is the horse that's the fresh face in this race that could really step up. So that's my thought. Tom Espinoza says, Howard's on holiday break, but teaching us all tonight. I do my best, Tom. I'm going with Septarian, guys, on top, but I respect others. He's going to have to step up his game, but I think he could here.
Now, a couple of notes on him. You mentioned the breeding, Howard, and while it is turfy on the dam side, Medina Spirit was by Protonico, the sire.
Protonico.
Really? Him too. Yes.
Okay, I did not. Medina Spirit was a pretty good horse last time I checked.
Not bad. And Chad Brown, Pete, you like this trainer switch to Chad going into stakes races? Only 7 for 17, 37%.
I like those odds.
And let's understand what Mr. Stewart bought this house for one reason. Horse for one reason and one reason only.
Oh, yeah.
He, like many, would like to have a case of DFS.
Of course.
And when a horse breaks his maiden with an 82 at Bayer, 82 Bayer at Laurel, the connections, the phone's going to ring. And in a lot of cases, someone's going to offer you a check that you can't refuse. And I suspect that's what happened here.
Paul, for some of our newer listeners, what is DFS?
Oh, that would be Derby Fever Syndrome. And I don't say it derisively. I mean, some people get caught up in it, but look at everyone wants to win the Derby, and John Stewart is spending money like a platoon of drunken soldiers. God love them. And as I say, when a horse wins, breaks his maiden like this at a track like Laurel, 9 out of 10 times the phone is going to ring, and then the owners just decide, do they sell or not? And it doesn't mean the horse is going to win the Derby, but it means that's why he bought the horse. And he's going to be with Chad Brown. If he doesn't, he could win the Jerkins. Who knows? But so I agree with you, Howard, that it will be very interesting to see how this horse runs.
By the way, I skipped this horse completely. I noticed. I had no notes. I didn't have it marked as an A, B, C, or D, so I accidentally scrolled right past this horse. So wow. I am with you. I probably would have had this horse in my top 3. So
maybe you had Navinophobia when you were doing that, Pete, and didn't have wine or something.
I was handicapping a little late. I had the TV on. I got a little distracted. Right. I maybe just scrolled funny that day.
Last race, by the way, guys, number 9, Sonic Skedaddle, has a great chance to clunk up for 3rd and 4th. Key Sonic Skedaddle closing from the absolute clouds to finish in 3rd or 4th in this race. I don't think he can win, but I just want to mention that Brendan Walsh trained closer who will be probably last early. All right, guys. Speaking of last, let's go to last race. I looked at this race for like 25 minutes. And people might be thinking, is that a lot or a little? That's a lot. I don't usually spend that much time on one race. I watched a lot of replays because, guys, I thought this was a confounding race, and I was really trying to find some prices and try to get cute and fancy. And well, you'll see what I ended up doing here in race 11 momentarily. Race 11 is a stake to end the day. How about that? It's the Ginger Brew stake. It is for the girls. 1 mile, 165,000 is the purse on the turf. Restricted for the 3-year-old fillies. It's always fun, guys. We see these 3-year-old restricted races at Gulfstream to start the year, and they're usually some good ones. There's some horses here coming out of the Breeders' Cup. There's some horses that just broke their maiden. This is a fun race. A field of 12 with an also eligible. The Moorline favorite here is the number 10, Nitrogen, who has not won a race. She is a maiden for Cassie and Jose Ortiz. Let's see where we're going to end the day. I'm going 10-4. Paul, oh boy. Is anyone surprised? Paul's going 8-4-10, and Pete is going 8-2-10. Shocker. Savetta, Savetta for Brendan Walsh and Irad. 3-1 Moorline. Go ahead, Paul.
Pete, I think we have to play a ticket together.
We have to.
We
sure
really, you guys have to.
Or at least we know if we play separate tickets, we're both going to win. If it.
Yeah, let's hope so. Yeah, I kind of like this horse a lot, and I'm not so. I didn't have the morning lines, as we've well documented. The horses coming out of the Breeders' Cup are going to be over a bet. This horse was just totally out of it. Closed for third, but went off at 50-1. People are going to see Lake Victoria in the running lines. I get it. Okay, I get.
You're talking about Nitrogen right now, right? You're talking about Nitrogen.
Yeah, I'm talking about Nitrogen right now.
Okay.
So the fact that if that horse is the favorite over the 8, Howard, I'm going to be playing the race. I kind of like the 8 a lot here. Defaulting to my the boys in blue.
Okay.
I just think this horse has done nothing wrong. Brendan Walsh has gradually stretched her out, and I think she's going to be tough here.
I have no argument. The only thing I want to say about Savetta, who can absolutely win, boy, did she get a trip. I mean, she got now look, it's IRAD, so she might get an unbelievable trip again. But guys, this is just, I respect the horse. I'm not saying it's a bad pick, but Savetta's the 2 here. And I mean, this is typical IRAD. Just sitting an absolute dream trip. And look at it, just finds the hole and just, wins. The thing is, not only did she get a perfect trip, Pete and Paul, I'm not sure the 3 wasn't even the better animal. I mean, it's not like he's doing it in hand. I mean, he's really asking hard. And this 3 is actually, I don't know about making up ground, but basically right there with her. So she won getting a dream trip. And now she's got to face better horses in theory going a little bit longer. Obviously, I'm going to use the 8. I know I don't have Savetta in my top 3. I'll be using her. But, man, I just feel like this is a horse you're supposed to beat, guys. She also has never, Brendan Walsh was keeping her, Pete, sprinting. And I know she's starting to stretch out now, but I don't know. It all seems like it's too obvious a horse to use, which I know sounds stupid, but I just don't love the dream trip and barely winning last time. I think those are my, she's really not much faster than a lot of horses in here, right? Or no?
No, I don't. I think from sort of a figure speed standpoint, I think you're completely right, but I do think she'll get a relatively similar trip. She's quick enough out of the gate. She has the top time form early pace figure, which again, she's not a horse. I think if I took that in my note, hopefully I check to make sure that's
into
correct.
A fast pace though, in theory.
No, but I just meant that at least this horse is quick enough to get in position.
Yes,
but
correct.
Doesn't need to be on the lead. So it's sort of a little bit of an odd circumstance there. And IRAD can sort of sit a perfect trip. From the dam side to the dam side, 25% turf routers. So the stretch out in theory and into mischief on the top side. So I think the stretch out should be beneficial.
The dam wanted to go longer actually, but I find it weird that they decide not to go longer earlier.
I know, but maybe they're just easing. I don't know. Maybe easing it in.
Don't know.
It's a half to Santine on the dam side too, which was Santine.
I know it feels weird to me though.
Long.
Like this could have been like.
Remember, she didn't break her maiden she didn't run her first maiden race till August as well. By the way,
that's just a late developer is what you guys are thinking.
Late starting 2-year-old.
Maybe.
Yeah.
We'll see. I don't know.
I don't like her as much as I don't like her. It sounds like Paul, you like her more as a standout than I do. I like her, but I don't think she's like a a super standout to me in this race.
Well, Pete, you bring up you bring up an excellent point, because she doesn't have to have the lead, and if she doesn't have the lead, she could just sit that same pocket trip again. So
Yeah.
because of her tactical speed, she should get a great trip. It's a valid point, one that I'm obviously going to take into consideration. Look, let's talk about nitrogen. Now, as much as you like the 8, Paul, I think I like nitrogen. And I realize her odds, okay? When she almost won the grade 1 Natama, she was 41-1. But that's because she ran a slow fig in her main race, right? And then she was 50-1 with the damn Breeders' Cup against Lake Victoria. So I get it. But can we please watch the replay again of the Breeders' Cup? Because, guys, I think she ran even better than it looks. She ran third at a monster price. She's the 2, and I'm hoping, again, I apologize, but it's been a DRF problem lately. I don't know what's going on. Let me just show the end of the race. Now, she saved ground, guys, which, obviously, okay, she's the 2. Where the heck is she? Where is she? Hold on a second. Trying to find her.
It's got to be in this.
I think she's right here, I believe. I think she's right.
think,
no. Sorry.
No,
she's
on
in
the
red
outside.
right there. Let me back up, guys. Yeah. She's right here in the red cap. Oh, see, there we go. Gosh darn it.
No, it's been doing that a lot lately.
Hasn't it? I'm not the only one. Yeah, I don't know what's going on. She's got a red cap. Hold on. Okay. She's right. Look at the hold she's got, guys. She's got a monster hold. She's right here. And she didn't really ask until like early in the stretch. Look at this. Wait. Still on hold. Still on hold. Still on hold. Okay. Now they finally ask. She's right here. She gets a good trip from here, but she had to wait a long time. Look, he's not really like full ask, right? This is like light whip taps. Now he really is going to ask right here. And boy, I like this acceleration, guys. I mean, once she asked, she really accelerated. And I refuse to show the gallop out because I don't want to be yelled at. But
that gallop out had to be wonderful. It looked like it was going to be wonderful.
Guys, she was not that far off Lake Victoria, about 5 strides past the wire. I take your point, Paul, and your point is very well received, because usually I'm against these kind of horses that are 40-1, 50-1. But in this field, if she does what she did last time and even improves some more, I think she's a likely winner, guys. And I believe, and I got to find out, that this is the reason Jose Ortiz is here. This has got to be the reason, guys, that Jose Ortiz is here today for Mark Cassidy. I can't think of any other reason. Plus, she's working very well. I'm not worried about, anything from the Breeders' Cup. It's been 2 months now. I just think this horse is really good. She's got to work out a trip, and maybe your horse, the 8, doesn't have to work out as good a trip because she has tactical speed. I really like nitrogen in this spot, guys. I like her a lot. She just got to work out a decent trip. I think she's the most talented horse in this race, and I love that replay that I watched. Now, very quickly, let's talk about the 4 and,
Can I give you one stat
and
on
the 2 briefly,
nitrogen?
and then we'll end the show. Yeah.
Even though I like nitrogen a lot.
Yeah.
Mark Cassidy, 1 for 37 non-graded stakes turf routes in just the past 6 months. So that's a lot of losses in the past 6 months.
Well, it's a listed stake, though. So I don't know. I mean, it's a stake today.
Well, yeah, it's
non-graded
stakes. Yeah, non-graded stakes.
By definition.
Oh, okay. Oh, I'm sorry.
Listed
I thought.
stakes. Yes,
but they're stake. Okay. That's bad. That's a bad stat.
No, it is, but I don't.
It's a bad stat.
It's a weird one, but I do think this is the most talented horse in the race. I think if they figure out her best trip, I think you're 100% right.
Well, I appreciate
I love Jose Howard, but I do. I love him as a jockey and as a guy, but I would like to ask him, if the goal is to win the race, did he think he was going to pick up Lake Victoria?
Yeah, I didn't love the ride watching the replay.
That's 50-1, Paul. What do you mean?
Yeah, I get it. Yeah, I understand, but no,
listen, you don't think the connections were ecstatic, Paul? They picked up a check in the Breeders' Cup juvenile filly turf. I mean, I hear what you're saying, but I don't know.
Yeah, no, especially with the maiden. So,
I think they were ecstatic after the race, to be honest.
But then you're going into that. You're going to go from 50-1 and 2-1, and albeit a much different
I get
race,
it. I get it.
So,
I totally get it. You know me, I'm usually against this kind of angle, but sometimes you just gotta, do things right. Corretto was in that race. She's very tactical, guys. I think Corretto's gonna be right there with the 8s and be a factor. I looked at the 2 real carefully, and I have the pronunciation. Hold on. This is Love Chavere Love Severe is the pronunciation. Love Severe. I respect Clement very much so. Miguel does a great job with the horses down there, guys, in South Florida. But a lot of people don't know that, Pete and Paul. That Miguel's the one that's actually down in South Florida doing the training, at least until like later in the winter here. Christoph is up in New York, so I'm sure Miguel has his horse ready. Did it well. I'm not sure how good this horse is, but I mean, I actually have this one second because I just don't love the 4 and the 8, but certainly I could be wrong about Love Chavere. It's actually pronounced Chavere, I believe. I do not have intel, by the way, in case people are wondering, so I'm not going to say something that is untowards or incorrect. Any other final thoughts, guys? We got to get to our best bets and Paul's rant.
I like.
Yeah, if you want to see a non-key race, Pete, the Disco Star, the 6, who's 10-1. So,
yeah.
But the race that horse is coming out of, 6 horses have run back with an average buyer regression of 20 points.
I'm looking at it.
I saw that. I saw it. Not good.
Yeah.
No bueno.
Jesus.
No
Anything
bueno.
else, Pete?
No, I like that. I had the 2 and 3rd. I kind of like the 2. The Dam side looks more sprinty. That was my concern. I wasn't sure, but going a mile, maybe it's not terrible.
Yeah,
but
a mile Gulfstream should be just fine.
1 for 18 on the Dam side in turf routes, but I like that horse a little bit. I thought that
I do too.
And you know what's funny? We look at it. Had the best time form debut and the second best buyer debut. Now other horses have surpassed that since, but you can't look at it that way. You got to look at it. What did they do on debut? And this horse was good on debut, at least from a figure standpoint. You're getting 10-1 with Clement Gaffleon. That's probably not a bad proposition.
People will see my ABCs on the power picks, but I've got the 10 as a lone A, and I have like 8 horses as B's and C's. Because to me, if the 10 doesn't win, it could be a whole bunch of them. I might be going way too deep, but that's just my thoughts. Let's get to the best bets, and then we'll have Paul's rant. I'm going to go first. How about that? My best bet is in race 9. I'm going to play pick 3 in the last 3 races. I'm going to go 2-3-6 with 3-6 with 10. I'm going to single nitrogen, guys, for better or for worse. I don't even think nitrogen will be the favorite. I actually think your 8's going to be the favorite, guys. So we shall see. But I think the 10 will probably be second choice. So I'm going to go 2-3-6 with 3-6. I'm not using guns loaded, by the way, in Mucho Macho Man in that bet. I could be very wrong. We'll see with the 10 on the end. Paul's going to go a race 8 double, 4-8 with 3. 4-8 with 3. And then he's also going with a daily double in the last 2 races, 1-5-6 with 8. Paul and I are going to duke it out. The 8 versus the 10. Let's go, Paul. Bring it on, baby. And then Pete is going to go race 9, a pick 3. It's similar to me in the last 3 races. He is going 3-4-10 with 1-3-5. So he's using guns loaded and cool intentions with our 2 favorite horses amongst the 3 of us. 8-10. Again, 3-4-10 with 1-3-5 with 8-10. And then he's going to put a win bet in the last race on, what is it? Savata? I'm trying to remember the name. Savachi? Is that how you pronounce it? No. Savata, excuse me. Savata, the number 8 for Godolphin, Irad, Brendan Walsh. That's a pretty darn good combination now that I think about it. Speaking of good combinations, you know what's a good combination, Pete? Paul Halloran and his rant of the week. Paul Halloran, the floor is yours, sir.
Well, I encourage people to go back and read a story that came out this week by Ray Pollock on the Pollock Report. And it was on a topic that you've probably heard a lot about, CAW, computer assisted wagering. We see those late odds drops, and it really is a complicated issue. And I think Ray did a good job of spelling it out. But, it just shows, unfortunately, what a major problem. It's a no-win situation. So what happens is, and there's some major groups that are owned by tracks. So the Elite Turf Club, CAW, is owned by Stronach and Naira, and Velocity is owned by Churchill. So we've covered the 3 top racing circuits. But the CAW is set up in effect as an ADW. So they're paying a track the host fee in order to place their bets. So let's say they're paying Santa Anita 9%, and the blended takeout is 20%, well, there's an 11% in effect rebate. He gets deeper than that, but the problem is that they are a bigger and bigger percent of the handle. So people say, well, just get rid of them. Well, yeah, you can get rid of them, except that Del Mar in 2021, the two Del Mar meets handled 555 million, and 167 of it was the Elite Turf Club. So that's 167 million that takeout. You can see how it's an economic problem. So I don't claim to have the solution, but I do know one thing. It is easy enough to do what Naira and some places have done. At the very least, they should be shut off with a reasonable amount of time to post, because their whole thing is based on they want to monitor the real-time odds to the last possible second and see where they can get value. And it really is a problem, because you can't just thumb your nose up at that type of handle, but you also can't have horses going in the gate at 9-1 and winning and paying $7, because it's probably going to not drive us three out of the game, but people who aren't quite as passionate about it, who, especially if they're new to it, you try taking a guy to the track, Howard, and seeing a horse go in the gate at 9-1 and he gets $7. So I just think it's an informative thing. And I just have three, I don't want to go on, but I have three brief news items that I wanted to touch on. One is Trevor McCarthy is advertising as a real estate agent on Long Island.
Nice.
There was a story about.
Sure it's the same Trevor McCarthy?
Yes, 100%.
Really?
I saw the picture in the Facebook post. His Facebook post was shared by Ramon Dominguez.
Really?
So there was a long story about him about a month ago about, he kind of was burnt out and wasn't sure what direction he was going to go, and seems like he might be going in a different direction. And if that's the case, we wish him nothing but the best, because he certainly is a great guy, and his wife is the most positive person on earth. And lastly, I would just say that this is an important day for me, because 2 years ago today, I did an initial Zoom call with Kelly and Leslie Dorman, and I put a crazy idea in front of them. I said, what do you think about me writing a book about your son? And fortunately, they said yes. And here we are 2 years later. It's changed my life, and it's going to continue to change it. And that's what happened 2 years ago today. And last thing on a book, Beth Pride, wife of Dan Pride, COO of Godolphin USA, whom we all know and love, her debut novel, Back to Blue Holly, launched yesterday. So go.
Well, good luck for all the authors are out, and that's very cool, Paul. I'll tell you what, maybe a little bit of an emotional day for you. I would understand that if you shed a tear and smiled at the same time. How cool is that? Well, happy anniversary, Paul. And why don't you give us a 5-second update on your book situation, by the way?
First draft done, receiving feedback from some key people. We'll incorporate that feedback into a second draft and tighten that up, and then work on both the formal proposal and start shopping the manuscript around. So moving forward.
It's exciting. I have a feeling, Paul, and I don't want to put you in an uncomfortable situation, but I think some free books might be given out to certain contest winners through our handicapping of the show.
Oh, God.
Going on later. So we're excited about that.
If you can get your hands on any, that they're going to be off the shelves. So they're going to be flying off, right?
We all lips to God's ears, Pete.
Last thing.
Anyway, thank you for
great news. Great news. You're like a TV anchor now.
Really
I love it. You're like
very
Walter
exciting.
Cronkite today. I love it.
Last thing. Sorry. There we go. Last thing. I want to just piggyback off of your rants a little bit about the CAWs. I'll tell you what situation might change a little bit, and I could be way off base here. The NHC, which is based on $2 mythical win place, Paul, if there's a lot of complaining at the NHC, where people think they're getting 6-1s and they're getting 3-1s, I can see that being a factor by tracks, or at least the NHC trying to limit their mandatories on tracks that allow CAW. So I mean, because that could be a major
Yeah.
problem in that contest.
Yeah.
Agree, Paul? And you've been there, you know exactly what that's like.
Yeah, no, it's as I say, Howard, it's too simplistic to say get rid of them, but it's they are running amok, and something has to be done
Well,
to
just
at
cut
least
them off
rein
in like
them
3 minutes. Just cut them off at a certain time. Why? Why is that
That
hard?
is a simple solution, in my opinion. They would argue that would be last thing. I know we're going too long. In defending the CAWs, this guy Scott DeRudy of the Stronach Group said, "Oh, you can't cap, because that's another thing you could do, right? Cap how much they can bet. Well, if you do that, they're only going to go to the track and put the bets in." So on January 3rd, the stupidest the stupidest statement of 2025 goes to Scott. Yeah, they have the edge by being in the computer system, but they're going to send humans to the track to put the bets in through the windows without that edge. That was a moronic
No,
statement.
they're not.
Anyway.
Well, they're going to line up with suitcases
Of course
at
they're
the
not.
track. They're not going to do that. All right. Well, anyway, appreciate all the news, intel, and Paul, congratulations on your anniversary and everything else. For my wonderful co-hosts, Pete Visco and author Paul Halloran. This has been your host, Howard Kravis, episode 387 of Picks and Ponies. New schedule starting next week. Look for us on X or an email just to clarify what's going on. Also, some changes are our Power Pick tip sheet, which I'll be emailing to everyone and also putting on X in the coming days. Crush your bets at Gulfstream Park this Saturday. Take care, everyone. Happy New Year. We'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.
Good night.
If you have not followed his Triple H horse racing podcast, you're missing out. It's one of the best podcasts in the country.